Hey gang, just wanted to take a quick look at the dispersion template design and run through the layers and then take a look at the layer options. And then we'll drop a subject in to see, how to organize the subject within this. But you're going to find it's pretty straightforward. Not a whole lot of special techniques or anything on this one. Should be pretty straightforward, but let's take a look. So when the design opens up, other than our subjects up here, ignore that, this is how this design is going to look by default. So we're going to see that we have some options down here. So let's just, if we delete these out, this is what the layer stack would look like when you open it up. Okay, so we're just going to drop subjects there just to put them in a minute. You're going to find we got some color grading layers at the top, and these are groups, so we can expand this group. We see there's 3 different layers to make up the color grade for this. If you want to change that color grade, you can simply either disable some of these or all of them, or change opacities of different ones to get the tonality that you want on that finished image. I do like to include the color grading layers because they add some more contrast and a little bit of warming things up and stuff to just get a little more punch to the design when it's done and not so flat. So those are there. We've got some facial highlight boost layers. Again, these are very common and ones that I do to enhance the highlights of the face. We'll take a look at those once we get our subjects in. We got some normal text right here. This is just normal editable text. We can double click and put a new name in. Simple as that. Click apply. The fonts, always like to mention, the fonts are listed that I use in the samples. They're on the product page. There's links to get those. So that's where you can find those. Below that, we have a couple of groups here, text right, and text left. And so what these are is just based on, do you want the design to have the text on the right side, this side text here, or the left side? And you can see the design just flips to make that easy. It's just pre-set up there. So you just pick whichever setup you want. We'll leave it on the left here. And these are groups, so you're going to find layers within each of these groups here. So let's expand one of these, and it's going to be the same layers in both the left and right group. So we'll just look at the layers in the left. So we're going to expand this. Let's scroll down. Now on my templates, anytime you see layers marked in red, that is your indication that that's where subject layers are going to go. So red means subject. So we'll run through these, but keep in mind, red is subject. So starting at the top here, as we expand the text left group, you see first off we have a couple layers here that deal with this dispersion effect, and this is for the bottom foreground right here. So you can see it's just adding some of that black dispersion to give your subject somewhere to fade into. Now attached to this is just a simple color change, so that if you want to change the color of that dispersion, we'll turn this on, so that'll enable it, which makes it white. But let's say we want to make it blue color. Well, we'll just double click on this. It opens up the solid color picker. And now it'll give you a sample tool, so you could sample from, a uniform or a jersey or something like that, a logo. Or you could just come in and type in a value, or you could come, pick and match. I wanted to make it like this dark blue. Just click OK. And that's how you simply change the color of that dispersion there. And for every one of these dispersion effects, it's that exact same process. So very simple to do. So right below that dispersion effect, you see we have our first subject group, and this is for our front subject. And take notice, this is in a group. So to drop your subject in, you're going to expand this group, and it tells you subject goes here. So it goes, you drop your subject on top of this blank layer, which puts it inside of this group. And we do that because there's some default masking going on here that creates that fade for your subject into the bottom there. So we'll take a look at that in just a second. Below that, another dispersion effect. So you turn that off and on. And I always recommend turn layers off and on so you can see exactly what they're doing. But that is for this dispersion effect up here in the top corner. Again, you could turn the color option on, make it blue. You could double click in here and pick any other color that you want just by sliding this around or using your color picker. But we'll turn that back off for now. Below that, you can see we have some clipped layers going down to this back subject group. Okay, so let's look at the back subject group first, and you can tell they're clipped because these little arrows pointing down means that they're whatever their bottommost layer that the arrow is pointing at, that they're clipped that, which means that they only affect things within this group or this layer. So what I want to point out on this back subject group is, if you take notice, this is a nested group. So if we open this group, there's another group which we need to open again, and now the subject goes here. So the subject doesn't go just inside the first group, they need to go inside the second group. It's set up this way because I have some complex masking. So you'll see the first group has got some faded masking in here, and then the other group has some dispersion masking to create that dispersion effect over that background subject. So that's why they have to go in that nested group. All right, we'll look at that again in just a second. And once we drop our subject in, we'll look at these layers attached to it. So below that, some more dispersion effect with some more color change option here. Below that is one more, this block of dispersion effect to create that background effect is here with a color option for that. And this is that text that's set to the left or to the right in the other group there. So just normal editable text, and you can change the whole background color by simply clicking and picking any color that you want, or sampling. Okay, so now that we kind of see an overview of all the layers, let's drop subject in and look how it looks put together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just expand this front subject group. And so I got a couple subject layers here. Let's put this one in the front. So we're going to grab this guy, drag him right down, boom, drop him inside. So what we'll notice is once our subject is in here, you can see, you know, the cutoff of the legs here. Well, this is where the masking comes in, because once I bring him down to place him, you'll see how he starts to fade into that dispersion in this bottom area here. Okay, so we can put him in here. We can Command or Control T to transform, and you know, we could make him bigger or smaller, whatever we need to do. I'm going to just stick him right there for now, just till we get things lined up. And let's put our background subject in. So let's turn this subject on. Let me come down here. I'm going to go ahead and pre-expand this group. And I want to show you the difference. If we bring this background subject in, and let's put him just in the first group, not the second one. Okay, so it's not in this one, it's just in the foreground. Let's resize him. I think it looks cool if they're nice and big in the background here, just to give like that extra bit of kind of feature to their face there is what I was thinking when I set this one up. You see. Yeah, see, I kind of like it nice and big. Maybe not quite that big. Let's make it a little bit smaller. But I do like it nice and big and bold in the background there. Something kind of like that, maybe. Click Apply. Alright, let's get this back on the screen. So now what you're going to notice is when this subject is in just the first group, it gets the dispersion effect applied, but it's not getting the transition down through the image applied. So if you like that look, you could absolutely use it. But what happens now is when we expand this second group within this and drop it in this nested group, now you can see it also applies this faded transition, so you see all this extra dispersion stuff happening in here. So it's really whatever you like the look of. Again, I set it up with this kind of look in mind, where it's kind of just fading into half the face. But the beauty of templates is you get to create your own looks and design by moving pieces around. So I kind of like that. I like the sizes of everything, and I like how they're laid out. So I'm going to leave it right about like that. Now, as far as these other layers attached to this background group, let's turn these off. So you're going to see if we turn these off, you just have the normal subject with their color in there as they came in. But the first thing I have is this darkened dispersion side. So you see what that's doing is it's darkening this side that fades in over here to the left. Okay, so that's just a gradient that's doing that. This just converts it to black and white. So you could leave it color if you like. I think it looks cool black and white, particularly with this black and white design. We would do that. And then this is to colorize the subject. So if you turn this on and you want to make them, you know, kind of colorized, this is a hue saturation adjustment layer. So once that's turned on, you could come in up here and just change the hue to whatever color you want. You could change the saturation of that. You could change the lightness of that. And I like this option because let's say we wanted to colorize some of these dispersion areas. Like if we wanted to make this background more red, maybe I want to match it to that red or something like that. Maybe there, maybe a little bit darker. Let's see what we like here. I kind of like something like that, I think. Let's click OK. So now this is where I like being able to colorize the subject. You could leave it this way. I think it looks kind of cool if they blend in with that background more. That's where that lightness slider on here really comes into play. So you could have them really pop off that if you wanted it bright. You could have them kind of match the tonality by bringing this slider down, or even darker. So again, I like it kind of something like that. So that's how we could add some color to that. Again, you could always change up background colors and things like that, whatever you want to make the look of. You should be able to make it just by changing some of these layer options around. I'm going to click cancel. But yeah, you can see it's just that simple. Drop your subjects in, set your colors, and you should be good to go on this one. So hopefully you get a lot of use out of it. Hopefully you find it's fairly simple and straightforward to use. More importantly, I hope it helps to make you some money and get you some sales with those teams and those leagues, and that you find a lot of interest in it. See you on the next one.